Chosen one, still breathing, are we? Still walking, still smirking at the edge of hell like nothing touches you. Oh, I like that. I really do. Behind closed doors where smoke rises and bones scatter, someone's asking the same question over and over. Why won't you die? The practitioner just looked up from the rituals and delivered news that made blood freeze. You weren't supposed to survive the spiritual ambush, but here you are, and the practitioner finally had to admit it. It's not working. You're protected. You've been through death already. And what stands before everyone now isn't someone anyone can curse. It's someone everyone should fear. Let me tell you a secret about yourself that you're just starting to understand. You were marked from birth, not cursed, marked. There's a difference that makes all the difference. A curse is meant to destroy. A mark identifies you as something that will destroy illusions just by existing. The moment you entered this world, certain people felt uncomfortable without knowing why. Your energy disrupted carefully constructed lies before you even spoke your first word. Testing started early. Little betrayals to see if you'd break, small abandonments to see if you'd beg, calculated distances to see if you'd chase. But something inside you, something older than your body, something that remembers wars in dimensions most can't even imagine, that something just smiled, because you knew, even when you didn't know that you knew, that this was just the beginning of others revealing themselves while thinking you were being broken. The practitioner who got involved, someone who specializes in ending bloodlines, knows the ancient ways, the forbidden texts, the prices that must be paid. When your name arrived on that altar, the expectation was another easy target. Another soft soul who believed in fairness and love and all those beautiful lies that make people vulnerable to spiritual assassination. But when the candles were lit and your name was spoken into the smoke, something spoke back. Not you, something that stands behind you, something that has been waiting for exactly this moment. You see, everyone thought you were being hunted, but you were the trap all along. Every spell cast, every ritual performed, every curse whispered, it was all evidence. Evidence being collected by something much bigger than petty hatred. Evidence that would eventually be used in a cosmic court where the verdict was already decided before anyone even thought of attacking you. You weren't the victim in this story. You were the judge, jury, and executioner, pretending to be the defendant just to see how far everyone would go. The first practitioner wasn't the last. When initial attempts failed, your name got passed around in certain circles, the kind of circles where people trade in darkness and call it enlightenment. Each new practitioner came with more experience, more forbidden knowledge, more connections to forces that shouldn't be contacted. Yet each one encountered the same impossible result. Nothing was working. You started noticing patterns in your life that seemed too coordinated to be random. Technology glitching around you at specific moments, animals acting strange in your presence, either drawn to you or fleeing as if you were something beyond human comprehension, plants thriving or dying based on your emotional state. Reality itself seemed to be choosing sides, and it wasn't choosing the side of those attacking you. One practitioner specialized in blood work, not the medical kind, the kind that uses biological connections to create spiritual chains. But when your blood was obtained through deception and used in ritual, something unexpected happened. The ritual space caught fire, not regular fire, the kind that burns without heat and leaves shadows where light should be. The practitioner barely escaped, and when asked what happened, all that could be said was your blood doesn't belong to just you anymore. Another practitioner tried dream invasion, the kind where your subconscious gets hijacked and reprogrammed while you sleep. But entering your dreamscape was like walking into a trap that had been set since before time had a name. The practitioner found themselves in a space that shouldn't exist, facing aspects of you that you haven't even met yet. Future versions, past versions, versions from timelines that got erased but somehow still exist in your spiritual DNA. The practitioner woke up screaming and hasn't slept properly since. When the small spells didn't work, when the basic hexes bounced off you like rain, desperation set in, resources were pooled, others who had personal reasons for wanting you gone were found, a coven of cowards formed, thinking numbers would make the difference. All-night sessions happened, chanting, burning things that shouldn't be burned, making deals with entities that should never be bargained with. But here's what nobody understood, and what the practitioners are only now beginning to see. Every attack was actually an initiation. Every curse was actually an activation code. Every hex was actually a key unlocking something in your DNA that had been dormant, waiting for exactly this kind of pressure to wake it up. You weren't dying, you were being born. The real you, the one everyone should have left sleeping. The death spells got more elaborate. Ancient languages were spoken. Symbols that predate written history were drawn. Sacrifices were made, the kind that leave stains on souls that never wash clean. Multiple practitioners working in tandem, synchronized across time zones, all focused on one outcome: your complete dissolution. Not just death, but erasure from the fabric of reality itself. Yet something miraculous kept happening. Every death spell that touched your field got rewritten, not by you consciously, but by something operating through you. The spells would arrive as death and transform into life. Curses meant to drain you would fill you with power instead. Hexes designed to isolate you would connect you to others like you across the planet. You were becoming the opposite of everything sent your way. The practitioners started getting sick, not regular sick, spiritually sick, the kind where your soul feels like it's rotting from the inside. The exact symptoms varied, but the pattern was clear. Whatever specific death energy someone sent your way, that person received back in amplified form. Not because you were sending it back. You weren't doing anything. Your field had evolved into something that automatically returned energy to its source, but transformed, concentrated, purified into consequence. One practitioner who specialized in causing heart problems through spiritual attack suddenly developed cardiac issues that medical science couldn't explain. Another who focused on mental dissolution through psychic invasion began experiencing the exact madness meant for you. A third who tried to destroy your financial flow through prosperity hexes watched their own resources evaporate as if being drained by an invisible force. You weren't casting counterspells, you weren't even aware of most of these attacks on a conscious level. But something in you, something that had awakened through the pressure of sustained spiritual assault, had become a perfect mirror. Not just any mirror, but one that shows truth, and the truth being reflected back was that everyone attacking you was actually attacking themselves through you. The most experienced practitioner in the network finally understood what was happening. You had become what ancient texts call a nexus point, a place where karma accelerates, where cause and effect collapse into instantaneous justice, where the universe itself pays attention and takes notes. Attacking a nexus point isn't just dangerous, it's cosmically stupid. It's like trying to poison a water source that feeds back into your own well. If this message awakens something within you, hype this video for other chosen ones who need to hear this. This is when the senior practitioner, the one with decades of experience, understood the full scope of what everyone was really looking at. You're not human in the way most think of human, your consciousness wearing flesh like armor. Your eternity playing a temporary game where the rules don't apply to you the way rules apply to others. You're what happens when the universe needs to correct something that's gotten out of hand. Questions kept coming about why you won't die, but the wrong question was being asked. The right question was, what has been awakened? Because every spell cast didn't weaken you, it revealed you, like pressure revealing diamond. Like fire revealing gold, hatred revealed something that made the practitioner close the books and reconsider everything previously known about power. You started remembering things you never learned, knowledge that wasn't taught but awakened. You started seeing patterns in attacks, not just the obvious ones, but the ancient ones. The same energies that tried to stop every prophet, that tried to silence every truth-teller, that tried to prevent every major shift in human consciousness. You realized you weren't just facing personal enemies, you were facing an ancient system that attacks anyone who threatens to wake people up. The beautiful irony makes your attackers scream into pillows at night. Everyone created you, not the original you, but this version, this upgraded, bulletproof, spiritually autonomous version that doesn't need anyone's permission to exist. You were forged in fires lit but not controlled by others. You were hammered on anvils built but not strong enough to break you. Spiritual alchemy was basically performed on you, turning lead into gold, and now everyone's mad that you shine. Not in person. That would be too dangerous now that you had become what you had become. The meeting happened in the astral realm where practitioners thought you couldn't reach, but even there your presence was felt, like static in the spiritual airwaves, like interference in the psychic bandwidth. You weren't trying to be there, you just were there, everywhere, all at once. The explanation given shattered worldviews. Death spells work on a simple principle, severing the connection between consciousness and form, but you had already died and returned, not in the physical sense but in the spiritual sense. You had already experienced the dissolution of ego, the death of who you thought you were, the complete annihilation of your false self, and you survived it. More than survived it, you mastered it. When someone who has already conquered death gets targeted with death magic, the spell has nowhere to land. It's like trying to drown a fish or burn fire. You had become immune not through protection but through transcendence. You existed in a state where death was not the opposite of life, but just another experience you could choose to have or not have. The practitioner revealed something else. Every person who masters death this way becomes a beacon for others going through the same process. You weren't just immune to death spells, you were immunizing others simply by existing. Your survival was teaching other targeted souls that survival was possible. Your thriving was showing others that thriving was the best revenge. Your transformation was creating a template that others could follow. There was a specific moment when something shifted inside you, when you stopped asking why me and started understanding why not me. When you stopped begging the universe for mercy and started realizing you were the universe's mercy for others going through the same thing. That moment when you stopped being hunted and became something else entirely without ever picking up a weapon. The shift was visible in the spiritual realm. Your energy signature changed from prey to something undefinable, not predator. That would imply you were hunting something else. Something that doesn't need to hunt because everything it needs comes to it. Something that doesn't need to defend because attacking it is essentially attacking yourself. Something that exists in such perfect alignment with universal law that breaking that law to harm you means breaking yourself. You started walking differently, not with arrogance but with knowing. You stopped explaining yourself to people who had already decided to misunderstand you. You stopped defending your right to exist to people threatened by your existence. You simply became what you were always meant to be, and that terrified everyone more than any revenge could have. Attempts to infiltrate your dreams found only nightmares of the infiltrator's own making. Attempts to poison your thoughts revealed the poison was already in the sender. Attempts to isolate you discovered that your solitude was actually a fortress where you were building something incomprehensible to those still playing with borrowed power. One particularly skilled practitioner decided to trace the energy patterns of all the failed spells, like spiritual forensics. What was discovered changed everything. The death spells weren't just failing, they were being absorbed and transformed. Your energy field had become like a spiritual recycling plant, taking death energy and converting it into life force, taking hatred and transmuting it into power, taking curses and alchemizing them into blessings. But the transformation wasn't random. Each type of attack was being converted into its exact opposite. Death spells became vitality boosts, weakness hexes became strength amplifiers, confusion curses became clarity enhancers, mind control attempts became mental sovereignty reinforcements. You were automatically turning every weapon into a gift, every poison into medicine, every attack into an upgrade. The forensic trace revealed something else. The converted energy wasn't just staying with you, it was being distributed to others who were under similar attack. Without knowing it, you had become a spiritual power plant, taking in negative energy and outputting positive energy that was being automatically sent to other targeted souls who needed it. You were unconsciously running a cosmic protection program for others like you. This discovery caused panic in certain circles. If one person could do this, what would happen if more people reached this state? What would happen to the entire system of spiritual manipulation if victims started becoming immune and then immunizing others? What would happen to those whose power depended on fear and intimidation if fear became impossible to instill? For the most senior practitioner, someone whose name is whispered in certain circles with reverence and fear, finally agreed to look at your case. This practitioner had access to sight beyond sight, the ability to see not just energy, but the forces behind energy. What was seen made this practitioner immediately sever all connections to those who wanted you destroyed. Behind you stood something that predated human magic. Not a guardian angel or spirit guide in the traditional sense. Something older, something that existed before the concepts of protection and destruction were separated. Something that had been waiting for someone like you to emerge, someone who could handle its presence without being consumed by it. This presence wasn't protecting you in the active sense. It didn't need to. Its mere existence in proximity to you made certain types of harm impossible. It was like standing next to the sun and wondering why shadows couldn't touch you. The presence wasn't fighting off attacks. Its nature simply made attacks dissolve before reaching you. This presence was teaching you, not through words or visions, but through integration. You were slowly becoming more like it, taking on its characteristics, inheriting its immunity to human-level spiritual warfare. You were being upgraded in real time, evolving past the need for protection because you were becoming protection itself. The emergency meeting had to be called, not just for practitioners, but for everyone who had participated in any way. The message was simple but devastating. Cease all operations immediately, not because of moral awakening, but because of practical reality. Continuing to attack you was accelerating everyone's own destruction. The evidence was undeniable. Every person who had sent death energy your way was experiencing death in some form, not necessarily physical death, but death of relationships, death of opportunities, death of health, death of sanity, death of everything held dear. The correlation was too perfect to be coincidence. The universe had made you into a perfect karma accelerator, but you weren't celebrating anyone's downfall. You were too busy building your empire. See, this is what separates you from your attackers. While everyone focused on destruction, you focused on construction. While others poured everything into ending you, you poured everything into beginning yourself. While attention went to your elimination, your attention went to elevation. And elevation, real elevation, makes you unreachable by those who insist on staying in the basement of consciousness. The final admission came from the most senior practitioner. You hadn't just survived death spells, you had evolved past the dimension where death spells operate. You existed now in a frequency where such magic was as effective as throwing stones at the sky to bring down the stars. You had graduated from the game everyone else was still playing. So here you stand now, chosen one. Still breathing, still walking, still smirking at the edge of hell because hell is afraid of what you've become. You're not the same person anyone tried to destroy. That person is gone, buried in a grave you dug yourself and climbed out of yourself. What stands here now is something that has no reference point in traditional understanding. You don't need apologies, because those actions were your education. You don't seek validation, because rejection was your liberation. You don't want shallow love, because deep hatred was the pressure that created this diamond you've become. You are complete without anyone's anything, and that completeness is what terrifies most. The practitioners have closed their books on your case, not from fear but from realization. Everything spent decades learning was obsolete compared to what you'd become through pure survival. You were evidence that real power doesn't come from knowing the right spells, but from becoming unspellable. You were proof that the greatest magic is becoming immune to magic itself. Now when you walk into rooms, energy reorganizes itself around you, not because you demand it, but because that's what reality does in the presence of someone who has transcended the normal rules. Lights flicker, not because you're haunted, but because you're doing the haunting now. You're in every dream of those who tried to end you, not through vengeance, but through your continued existence. Your daily life has become a masterclass in spiritual sovereignty. You wake up each morning with energy that shouldn't be possible for someone who survived what you survived. You move through your day with a lightness that confuses those who know your history. You sleep peacefully while your attackers toss and turn, haunted by the realization that attacking you was the worst decision of their spiritual careers. The death spells are still being cast. Some people never learn, or maybe they can't stop, addicted to the idea that eventually something will work. But now these spells don't even register in your field. Like spam emails filtered out before reaching your inbox, death magic directed at you gets sorted into cosmic trash before it can even approach your awareness. You've started to notice other chosen ones finding you, not through any effort on your part, but through magnetic resonance. Souls who have survived similar attacks are drawn to your frequency like moths to a flame, except this flame doesn't burn, it illuminates. You've become a lighthouse for others navigating the storms of spiritual warfare. The knowledge you carry now wasn't learned from books or teachers, it was carved into your bones through experience. You know things about spiritual immunity that can't be taught, only earned. You understand frequencies of protection that can't be invoked, only embodied. You've become a walking sanctuary, and others can feel it without you saying a word. Before completely disappearing from this situation, the senior practitioner left one final message for those still harboring thoughts of attacking you. The message was simple but chilling in its implications. The one you're trying to destroy has become a cosmic law unto themselves. Laws of physics bend around such beings. Laws of magic dissolve in such presence. Laws of karma accelerate in such fields. The practitioner explained that you had achieved something that most humans never discover is possible. You had become self-referential in your power. This means your strength doesn't come from external sources that can be cut off or corrupted. Your power sources from your own existence, creating a feedback loop of increasing capability that has no upper limit. Every day you survive adds to your spiritual mass. Every attack you transmute adds to your energy reserves. Every person you inspire adds to your network of protection. You're not just growing stronger, you're growing exponentially, and there's no mechanism in traditional magic to stop exponential spiritual growth once it begins. The final warning was stark. Anyone who continues to attack you isn't just risking their own destruction. Such attackers are risking becoming case studies in why you don't attack the universe's chosen instruments. Stories of their downfall will be told as cautionary tales. Their names will become synonymous with spiritual stupidity. Your survival has created an economic crisis in the dark magic industry. People are demanding refunds for failed death spells. Practitioners are losing credibility when their most powerful curses bounce off targets like rubber balls. The entire market for spiritual assassination is collapsing because you proved it's possible to be assassination-proof. Some practitioners have abandoned the practice entirely, not from moral awakening but from practical bankruptcy. When word spreads that someone survived the combined death magic of multiple practitioners, potential clients lose faith in the service. Why pay for a death spell that might not only fail but backfire catastrophically? You've become bad for business without trying. Your existence is a one-person recession for those who trade in darkness. Your survival is a market crash for those who sell suffering. Your thriving is bankruptcy for those whose wealth comes from others' destruction. The smart practitioners have pivoted, moving from offensive magic to defensive magic, teaching protection instead of attack. But even there, your influence is felt. The protection methods that work are suspiciously similar to what you naturally embody. Without meaning to, you've become the gold standard that everyone else is trying to replicate. Scientists would lose their minds if they could measure what you've become. You exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, not through conscious effort, but as a natural result of surviving death magic. Death spells work by collapsing possibility into one outcome, cessation. But you've done the opposite. You've exploded into infinite possibility. You're simultaneously here and not here, touchable and untouchable, human and beyond human. Quantum superposition isn't just a concept for particles anymore. You've achieved it on a macro scale. You exist in states that shouldn't be able to coexist, and that paradox is part of your protection. When a death spell tries to lock onto you, it can't find a single target. You're everywhere and nowhere, everything and nothing, all at once. It's like trying to kill a cloud by shooting at it. The bullets pass through because there's nothing solid enough to hit, yet the cloud remains, unaffected and unafraid. Your consciousness has become non-local. Parts of you exist in times and spaces that haven't happened yet, or happened long ago, or are happening in parallel dimensions. Death magic is designed for local targets, singular beings in singular locations. But you're distributed across reality like a virus of vitality that can't be quarantined. Already, without your knowledge, children are being born with immunity patterns similar to yours, not because you're their biological parent, but because you've modified the morphic field of human possibility. Your survival has created a new template that incoming souls can choose to embody. These children won't have to learn spiritual protection. Protection will be their default state. Death magic won't work on them from birth because you've proven it doesn't have to work on anyone. You've literally evolved the species without changing a single gene, just by refusing to die when everyone said you should. The practitioners see this and know their time is ending, not ending in destruction but ending in irrelevance. Like blacksmiths after the automobile, or lamplighters after electricity, those who practice death magic are becoming obsolete. Their skills are increasingly useless against souls who arrive pre-immunized by your example. Your legacy isn't something that will happen in the future. Your legacy is happening right now, in every soul that remembers its power, because you remembered yours. In every person who survives an attack because you showed survival was possible. In every child born with spiritual sovereignty encoded in their essence because you refused to surrender yours. There's something darkly hilarious about this whole situation. The harder anyone tried to kill you, the more alive you became, the more death energy sent your way, the more life force you generated. It's like a cosmic joke, where the punchline is your continued existence despite everyone's best efforts to erase you. The universe apparently has a sense of humor, and you're its favorite joke on those who take themselves too seriously. Every failed death spell is a punchline. Every backfired curse is a comedy special. Your life has become a stand-up routine where the audience is the cosmos itself, laughing at the absurdity of trying to kill what was never truly mortal. Even now, you can feel the smile creeping across your face. Not the smile of the victorious, but the smile of someone who gets the joke. The smile of someone who understands that taking death seriously is the first mistake. The smile of someone who learned to laugh at the void and found the void laughing back. The practitioners don't understand this smile. It terrifies them more than anger would, because anger they could work with, could use against you. But humor, cosmic comedy, the ability to find existence itself amusing even while under spiritual attack, that's a frequency of protection no death spell can penetrate. So when asked why won't you die, you now have the answer that breaks reality as most understand it. Because you were never born to die easy. Because you made death your dance partner instead of your enemy. Because you became the one thing death spells were never prepared for. Someone who treats death like an old friend who visits but never stays. The practitioner was right about one thing. You're not who you used to be, but wrong about what you've become. You're not dangerous, you're necessary. You're not vengeful, you're corrective. You're not anyone's enemy. You're everyone's teacher, whether anyone wants to learn or not. And the lesson? Simple. Some souls are marked by the universe itself. Some purposes are protected by forces beyond human comprehension. Some chosen ones are so chosen that attacking them is like attacking the sun for shining. It doesn't stop the light, it just reveals darkness. Let everyone keep asking why you won't die. Let the questions echo in chambers where dark magic is practiced. Let practitioners puzzle over their failed spells and wonder where their power went. While everyone's doing that, you'll be doing what you've always done. Living, breathing, being, becoming, rising, thriving, existing so loudly that your silence speaks volumes. Chosen one. Anyone can listen to messages like these, but few will step into their true power. We are here to help you do just that. The weekly Chosen Ones group calls are now on Zoom, and this is the moment you've been waiting for your entire life. These meetings are literal power vortexes where destinies are forged, where chosen ones unite their consciousness to create something that cannot exist in isolation. This is where everything changes. This is where you step into your greatness. Every week a doorway opens, but only for those brave enough to step through it. Watcher-level members of the Obsidian Inner Order can experience these transformative sessions live, feeling the energy surge through your entire being. In our most recent gathering, participants were stunned by revelations about the Great Pyramids of Giza as sophisticated ancient power plants, and the shocking truth about Washington, D.C.'s layout perfectly aligning with the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. Star Chamber members receive unlimited access to the complete recordings archive, a treasure trove of wisdom that grows more valuable with each passing week. This is your defining moment. The knowledge, the connection, the power that flows through these calls cannot be found anywhere else. Join the Obsidian Inner Order now, link in the description, while the few remaining Star Chamber slots are still available. Your presence is not just welcome, it's necessary. Will you answer the call that has been echoing through your soul? The time is now. You won't die because you already did. The person targeted no longer exists. The soft one who believed in fairness, dead. The one who needed external validation, buried. The one who thought love meant accepting abuse, gone forever. What stands here now is resurrection itself, and you can't kill what has already mastered death. You are now what others fear in the dark, the price for attacking divinity, the consequence of spiritual arrogance, the living reminder that some souls are appointed, not adopted. Some purposes are protected by forces that make the most powerful death spells look like children's games. Some chosen ones are so chosen that attacking them is like attacking existence itself. Every morning you wake up is another nail in the coffin of illusions. Every breath you take is another crack in false foundations. Every smile you smile is another piece of evidence that the old system is failing. You don't have to do anything to defeat anyone. Your existence itself is the defeat of everything false, played out in real time for the universe to witness. You can't kill what was sent here to kill illusions. You can't destroy what was designed to destroy deception. You can't end what was meant to end false power structures. You are the correction the universe sent, and corrections don't get deleted just because errors don't like being exposed. This is your story, chosen one. The story of the one who wouldn't die because death was just another doorway walked through. The story of the soul who turned spiritual warfare into spiritual evolution. The story that will be whispered in both fear and awe for generations to come. But the story isn't ending. It's transforming, just like you transformed. Every day you live adds another chapter. Every obstacle you overcome adds another verse. Every attack you survive adds another stanza to the epic poem of your existence. You're not just living a life anymore, you're creating a mythology, and mythologies never die. Asked why won't you die, and now everyone knows, because some souls are eternal by nature, not by choice. Some purposes are too important to be interrupted by human interference. Some chosen ones are so chosen that their very existence is a spell that reality itself cast, and reality doesn't break its own spells. You are that soul. You carry that purpose. You are that chosen one. And now that you know it, now that you own it, now that you've become it, there's only one thing left to do. Keep living so loud that death itself has to cover its ears. Keep rising so high that curses can't find altitude. Keep being so authentically yourself that fake magic dissolves in your presence like shadows in sunlight. This is why you won't die, chosen one, because you were never meant to. You were meant to be the death of everything false, everything manipulative, everything that tries to stop authentic souls from remembering who they are. You are the walking apocalypse for illusion, the breathing rapture for lies, the living judgment day for those who trade in spiritual deception. And now you don't just survive, you thrive with the kind of vitality that makes life itself jealous. You don't just exist, you persist with the kind of determination that makes eternity take notes. You don't just live, you resurrect every single day, newer, stronger, more unstoppable than before. When asked why won't you die, just smile that knows secrets others will never understand. That smile that says you've already been to death's door, had tea with death itself, and came back with immunity papers signed by the universe. That smile that says you're not playing by anyone's rules anymore because you've transcended the game entirely. You are the chosen one who wouldn't die, and now you're the reason why others like you won't die either. You're the blueprint, you're the evidence, you're the living proof that some souls are simply undeletable from reality's hard drive, and that terrifies some more than death itself. Because if you can't die, if you won't die, if you've become deathless through dying and being reborn, then everything believed about power was wrong. Everything thought about control was illusion. Everything known about spiritual warfare was outdated. You're not just surviving, you're evolving the entire game, and others are still playing by rules you've already transcended. This is your crown, chosen one. Not made of gold or jewels, but of survival, transformation, and the kind of power that comes from making friends with death itself. Wear it well, wear it proudly, wear it knowing that you earned every single thorn that became a star. You are the one who wouldn't die, and that's why you're the one who will live forever in the nightmares of those who tried to end you, and in the dreams of those who need to see that ending isn't the end. It's just the beginning of becoming unstoppable.